You have 847 friends on Facebook. Your Instagram has decent engagement. Your phone buzzes with notifications every few minutes. And yet, when you put the phone down, there's this weight in your chest, this silence that's so loud it hurts. You're surrounded by people, but you feel invisible. You go to parties and feel like a ghost. You text someone, and even when they reply, something feels hollow, like you're talking through a thick glass wall. Last Tuesday, you sat in a restaurant, alone. You watched a group of friends laughing at the next table, really laughing, the kind of laughter that makes your stomach hurt. And you thought, when was the last time I felt that? When was the last time someone knew me well enough to make me laugh like that? You pulled out your phone, scrolled, liked a few posts, commented ha on something that wasn't even funny. Put the phone down. The weight came back. Welcome to the loneliness epidemic. And no, it's not just you. Studies show we're more connected than ever, yet more isolated than any generation before us. In Japan, they have a word for it, kadoshi, lonely death. People dying alone in their apartments, undiscovered for weeks, sometimes months. That won't be you, you think. You have people. You have connections. But do you really? Here's what nobody tells you. Your loneliness isn't a flaw. It's not a personality defect. It's not because you're broken or socially awkward or not interesting enough. Your loneliness is a message, a signal, your soul screaming that something essential is missing. And once you understand what it's trying to say, you can finally do something about it. But first, you need to understand where this came from, because the loneliness you feel right now, it's not random. It's been building for years. And it started the first time you learned to hide. Think back. Maybe you were 8 years old. You said something in class, something you thought was smart, and everyone laughed, not with you, at you. The teacher didn't defend you. Your face burned. Your chest felt tight. And right there, in that moment, you learned being yourself is dangerous. Or maybe you were 14. You told your friends something real, something you were scared about, and they looked uncomfortable, changed the subject, told someone else, and suddenly the whole school knew your secret. You learned vulnerability gets punished. Or maybe you were 21. You fell in love, really in love. You opened up completely, let someone see every part of you, the good parts and the broken parts, and they left anyway, just left. You learned letting people in leads to pain. So you adapted. You got smart. You started controlling what people saw. You became the funny one, or the quiet one, or the strong one who never needs help. You learned which version of yourself got accepted and which version got rejected, and those rejected parts, you buried them deep. 2,000 years ago, a slave named Epictetus said something that sounds obvious but changes everything. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. But he wasn't talking about being polite at dinner parties. He was pointing at something deeper, something we've completely forgotten. Most of us don't actually connect when we're with people. We perform. We wait for our turn to talk. We calculate what impression we're making. We scroll while someone is telling us about their day. We say, "I'm fine," when we're falling apart inside. We're physically present, but mentally somewhere else, somewhere safer, somewhere less vulnerable. And then we wonder why we feel empty. The Stoics understood something crucial. Loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about being unknown. It's the feeling that nobody really sees you, that if you disappeared tomorrow, would anyone notice the real you was gone, or just the version you pretend to be? Think about your friendships right now. How many people know what you're actually going through? Not the surface stuff, the deep stuff, the 3 a.m. thoughts, the fears you don't post about, the version of you that exists when nobody's watching. And if that number is 0, you're not alone. You're just surrounded by people who don't know you. And that's a very specific kind of hell. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. You feel lonely because you learned to hide.
And you're really good at it now. You have different masks for different situations. The work mask, the family mask, the friend mask, the Instagram mask. Each one carefully designed to be acceptable, likable, safe. And these masks work in a way. People like them. They get invited places. They get promoted. They get likes and comments and "you're so strong" messages. But masks can't feel connection. They're plastic, and you're not. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the known world, wrote in his private journal something that should terrify you. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Read that again, because it's the key to everything. That person who judged you when you were 8, they were seeing through their own broken lens, their own insecurities, their own pain. Their opinion of you says more about them than about you. But you took it as truth. You took their perspective and built a prison with it. And now you're lonely inside a cell you constructed yourself. Let me tell you about Sarah. Not her real name, but a real person. She came to me once and said, "I have so many friends. I go out every weekend. My calendar is full, but I feel lonelier than when I had nobody." I asked her, "When was the last time you told someone you were struggling?" She thought for a long time. I don't do that. People don't want to hear that stuff. They have their own problems. So everybody around you thinks you're happy. Yeah, I mean, I am happy, mostly. But you just said you're lonely. She went quiet. Then she said something that broke my heart. If I show people the real me, they'll leave. So I show them the good parts, and they stay, but they're not staying for me. They're staying for the character I play. That's the trap. You hide to avoid rejection, but by hiding, you guarantee it even when people stay, you'll still feel alone. Because they're not staying for you, they're staying for the mask. Social media makes this infinitely worse, and you know it does, but let me explain exactly how, because understanding the mechanism is the first step to breaking free. Social media is designed, literally engineered, to keep you performing. Every post is a resume, every story is a highlight reel, every photo is edited, filtered, captioned for maximum engagement. You don't post the argument you had with your partner, you post the sunset dinner. You don't post your anxiety attack, you post your workout. You don't post your failure, you post your success. And everyone else is doing the same thing. So you scroll through other people's masks and compare them to your real life. Of course you feel lonely. You're comparing your reality to everyone else's fiction. But here's the truly insidious part that nobody wants to talk about. You start to believe their fiction is reality. You start to think everyone else has it figured out. Everyone else is happy. Everyone else has deep friendships and exciting lives and no problems. And you're the only one struggling, the only one faking it, the only one lonely. Except you're not. Everyone is faking it. Everyone is lonely, but nobody admits it because admitting it would break the illusion. The Stoics call this living for others instead of living with others, and there's a massive difference. Living for others means constantly checking, do they like me? Am I impressive enough? Am I saying the right thing? Did that post get enough likes? Why did they leave me red? Should I post this or is it too vulnerable? It's exhausting and it's fake. Living with others means showing up as you are, risking rejection, risking judgment, but also creating the possibility, the only possibility of real connection. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, said something that most people misunderstand. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving. People read that and think he's saying only hang out with successful people. Be strategic about your friendships. Use people to climb. That's not what he meant at all. He meant to find people you can be real with. People who will call you out when you're being fake. People who will sit with you in your darkness without trying to fix you or judge you. People who make you want to be better not by performing, but by being. And be that person for someone else, because connection isn't something you find, it's something you create. and you create it by being brave enough to go first.
Let me tell you what loneliness actually is. Not the dictionary definition, the real definition. Loneliness is lying in bed at night with your phone in your hand, scrolling through people's lives, feeling like you're watching the world through a window. Everyone else is inside at the party. You're outside in the cold. Loneliness is being in a relationship but feeling like you're pretending, saying I love you but meaning I love the way you see me, and knowing that if they saw the real you, they might leave. Loneliness is achieving something amazing, getting the promotion, finishing the project, reaching the goal, and having nobody to tell who would truly understand why it matters. Loneliness is hearing a song that perfectly describes how you feel and crying because at least the songwriter understood, even if nobody in your life does. Loneliness is knowing that if you disappeared tomorrow, people would be sad, but would they be sad about losing you or sad about losing what you did for them? That's the question that keeps you up at night, isn't it? Because deep down, you suspect the truth. Most people in your life don't actually know you. They know a version of you, and you're terrified that the real you isn't enough. So you keep performing, keep hiding, keep pretending everything is fine, and the loneliness grows. But here's what you need to understand. You're not lonely because something is wrong with you. You're lonely because you're human, and humans weren't built for this. We weren't built for 500 friends we never talk to. We weren't built for relationships maintained through likes and emoji reactions. We weren't built to perform our lives for an audience instead of living them with people. For 300,000 years, humans lived in small tribes, 50, maybe 100 people. You knew everyone. Everyone knew you, really knew you. Your fears, your strengths, your quirks, your history. If you were sad, people noticed. If you were struggling, people helped. Not because they followed you on Instagram, because they saw you every day, because your survival was connected to their survival. We evolved for deep connection. We got shallow connection instead, and our souls are starving. Marcus Aurelius ruled the entire Roman Empire. He had wealth, power, fame, everything society says should make you happy, and still he wrote in his journal, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He was lonely, even with all that power, even with thousands of people around him, because he knew something we've forgotten. The peace you're looking for isn't in more friends or more followers or more success. It's in accepting who you are, completely, even the parts you've been hiding, especially the parts you've been hiding. So what do you actually do? How do you fix this? I'm going to tell you, but I need you to understand something first. This won't be easy. Growth never is. You won't read this and feel better tomorrow. You might feel worse before you feel better. Because the solution to loneliness requires the exact thing loneliness makes you want to avoid: being vulnerable, being seen, risking rejection. But it's the only way out. First, you need to stop trying to not be lonely. That sounds backwards. It sounds like terrible advice, but hear this out. Right now, you're running from loneliness. You fill every silence with podcasts or music or scrolling. You say yes to social events you don't want to go to because staying home feels too sad. You keep toxic friendships alive because even bad connection feels better than no connection. You're treating loneliness like an enemy, something to defeat, something to hide from. But loneliness is a signal, like hunger or pain. It's information, your body's way of saying something needs to change. The Stoics practiced something called voluntary discomfort. They would deliberately experience the thing they feared to realize it wasn't as terrible as they imagined. So here's what I want you to do, and I know you'll hate it. Spend time alone. Really alone. Not scrolling, not watching TV, not listening to anything. Just you, and silence, and your thoughts. Go for a walk without your phone. Sit in a park. Stare at the ceiling. Let the loneliness come. Let it wash over you. Don't run. Don't distract yourself. Just feel it. What you'll discover is this.
Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. Loneliness is the gap between the connection you have and the connection you need, but you can't figure out what you need if you're constantly running from yourself. Most people are terrified of being alone because they're terrified of who they'll meet there, the real them, the one nobody sees, the one with doubts and fears and regrets and shame. But that version of you, that's not your enemy. That's the version of you that needs to be seen. That's the version of you that needs connection. You can't connect with others if you're not connected with yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." Dig. Sit with yourself. Get to know the person you've been running from.
Step 2 is harder. Step 2 requires courage. Real courage. Not the kind of courage that looks good on Instagram. The kind that makes your hand shake and your voice croak. Stop hiding. I don't mean post your trauma on social media. I don't mean overshare with strangers. I mean find one person, just one, and be real with them. Tell them you're struggling. Tell them you're lonely. Tell them you're scared. Tell them the thing you think will make them leave, and watch what happens. One of two things will occur. They'll either lean in or lean out. They'll either say, "Me too," and suddenly you're not alone. Or they'll get uncomfortable and distance themselves. And here's what the Stoics understood. Both outcomes are good. If they lean in, you've found real connection. If they lean out, you've found someone who can't give you what you need. Either way, you have clarity. Either way, you're one step closer to real connection. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, be willing to be different. Be willing to have real conversations while everyone else is having shallow ones. Be willing to care while everyone else is playing it cool. Be willing to say, "I'm not okay," when everyone else is saying, "I'm fine." Yes, some people will think you're weird. Some people will be uncomfortable. Some people will distance themselves. That's the price of being real. But the people worth knowing, they'll recognize you. Like a signal only certain people can hear. They'll say, "Oh, thank God, I thought I was the only one." And suddenly, you're not lonely anymore. Let me tell you about Michael. He was a lawyer, successful, married, 2 kids. From the outside, perfect life. Inside, drowning. He told me, "I have clients who trust me with their biggest problems. I have a wife who loves me. I have kids who need me. But I feel like I'm playing a character. The confident lawyer, the stable husband, the strong dad." I asked, "When was the last time you told someone you were drowning?" "Never. I can't. That's not my role. People depend on me to have it together." "So everyone thinks you're fine?" "Everyone knows I'm fine. I am fine." "But you're here telling me you're not." He broke down, full tears. "I don't know who I am anymore. I've been playing this role for so long. What if I take off the mask and there's nothing underneath?" That's the fear, isn't it? What if the real you isn't enough? But here's what happened with Michael. He went home that night. He told his wife. Not everything, just a little. He said, "I'm struggling more than I let on." And she said, "I know. I've been waiting for you to admit it." She knew. Of course she knew. We think we're hiding so well, but the people close to us, they see the cracks. They just don't know if it's safe to mention them. Michael started being honest, first with his wife, then with a close friend, then with his kids in age-appropriate ways. And slowly the loneliness lifted. Not because he fixed the external stuff, because he stopped hiding the internal stuff. Third step, curate your solitude, but destroy your isolation. There's a massive difference between solitude and isolation, and most people don't know it. That's why they keep suffering. Solitude is chosen. It's reading a book alone because you want to. It's taking a walk without your phone because the silence feels good. It's saying no to plans because you genuinely need to recharge. Solitude recharges you.
You come back to people feeling more yourself, more present, more able to connect. Isolation is unchosen. It's scrolling at 3 a.m. because you can't sleep and don't know what else to do. It's avoiding people because facing them means facing yourself. Isolation drains you. You spiral. You convince yourself you're better off alone, that nobody wants you anyway, that it's easier this way. But it's not easier. It's just familiar. The Stoics believed in discipline, not the cold, harsh kind, the kind that means doing what's good for you even when it's uncomfortable. If isolation is your default, you need to force yourself to say yes, once a week, just once. One coffee, one walk, one honest conversation. You won't feel better immediately. You'll probably feel worse at first. Social muscles atrophy when you don't use them. The first few times will be awkward. You'll feel out of practice, out of place. Do it anyway, because slowly you'll remember what connection feels like. You'll remember that you're capable of it, that people actually do want to know you, that you're not as broken as you thought. But you have to take the first step. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to knock on your door and force you to be social. You have to choose it. And here's the secret. It doesn't have to be big. You don't need to throw a party or join a club or make 10 new friends. You just need one moment of real connection. One conversation where you drop the mask. One instance where someone sees you and doesn't run. That's all it takes to break the spell.
Fourth, be the friend you wish you had. Stop waiting for someone to see you. Start seeing others. This isn't about being strategic or manipulative. This is about recognizing that everyone around you is also lonely. Everyone is also performing. Everyone is also terrified of being seen. And someone needs to go first. When someone says, "I'm fine," ask again. Mean it. No, how are you really? Most people will deflect the first time. They'll laugh it off. They'll say, "Seriously, I'm good." Ask again. I'm asking you because I actually want to know, not the surface version, the real version. Watch what happens. Watch their face change. Watch them decide whether to trust you. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll keep deflecting. That's okay. You planted a seed. You showed them it's safe. Next time might be different. But sometimes they'll crack open just a little. They'll say something real, something they haven't told anyone else. And in that moment, both of you will feel less alone. Seneca wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." But it's more than kindness. It's recognition. It's saying to another person, "I see you, the real you, not the mask, and you're not alone." When you do this, something shifts. You stop being a victim of loneliness. You become someone who creates connection, someone who makes others feel less alone. And the beautiful paradox is this: the fastest way to feel less lonely is to help someone else feel less alone. Because connection isn't a resource that depletes, it's a resource that multiplies. Fifth, accept that some relationships need to end. This is the part nobody wants to hear, but it's crucial. Right now, you probably have people in your life who make you feel more lonely when you're with them. People who only talk about themselves, people who judge you, people who drain your energy, people who never ask how you are. You keep them around because something is better than nothing, right? Wrong. Bad connection is worse than no connection. Because bad connection makes you believe the problem is you. It makes you think, if I just tried harder, if I was more interesting, if I was more valuable, they'd care. But some people aren't capable of the connection you need. Not because they're bad people, because they're dealing with their own stuff, or because you've outgrown each other, or because the friendship was always surface level and you need depth now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." But he also wrote, "Remove whatever is unnecessary from your life." Some relationships are unnecessary. They're habits, obligations, histories that no longer serve you. Let them go. Not with anger or drama, just let them fade. Stop forcing it. Stop initiating every time.
Stop being the one who cares more. Make space for the people who actually see you, for the connections that feed you instead of drain you. This will feel scary. Your mind will say, if I let these people go, I'll have nobody. But that's fear talking. And fear lies. The truth is, you already have nobody if the people around you don't actually know you. You're just maintaining the illusion of connection while feeling lonely inside it. Let go. Make space. Trust that better connections exist.
Understand that loneliness isn't weakness, it's information. We live in a culture that treats loneliness like a disease, like something shameful, something to fix quickly and quietly, something that means you're failing at life. But the Stoics saw it differently. They saw negative emotions not as problems, but as signals. Pain tells you something is wrong with your body. Anxiety tells you there's a threat. Anger tells you a boundary was crossed. Loneliness tells you that you need connection, real connection, not Facebook friends or Instagram followers, not small talk at parties, not relationships where you're performing. Deep, authentic, vulnerable connection. And that's not a weakness, that's being human. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can react to loneliness by running from it, by medicating it with scrolling or shopping or working or drinking, by pretending it's not there. Or you can react to loneliness by listening to it, by asking, what is this trying to tell me? What needs to change? What have I been avoiding? When you stop treating loneliness as the enemy and start treating it as a teacher, everything shifts. It stops being this heavy, shameful thing you carry in secret. It becomes information, a compass pointing you toward what you need. Let me tell you what happens when you do this work, when you stop hiding, when you start being real, when you create space for genuine connection. It doesn't happen overnight. There's no magic moment where suddenly you're not lonely anymore. It's gradual, subtle. You almost don't notice it at first. But one day, you're having coffee with someone, and you tell them something real, something you've been scared to say. And instead of judgment, you get, "Me too. I thought I was the only one." Or one day, your phone rings, and it's a friend just calling. No reason, just wanted to hear your voice. Or one day, you're sitting in silence with someone, and it doesn't feel awkward, it feels comfortable. Like you can just exist together without performing. Or one day you realize it's been weeks since I felt that crushing weight in my chest. The loneliness is still there sometimes, but it's not constant anymore. It's not drowning me. That's how you know it's working. Not because loneliness disappears completely, but because it becomes bearable. Because you have people who see you. People you can call at 3 a.m. if you need to. People who know your story. Not many people. You don't need many. Marcus Aurelius, with all his power, had maybe 3 or 4 real friends. Seneca, with all his wealth, said his greatest treasure was one person who truly understood him. You don't need a crowd. You need a few people who get you, who you can be yourself with, who won't run when things get hard. Here's what I need you to understand, and this is important. Fixing loneliness requires you to be brave in a way that society doesn't reward. Society rewards performance. It rewards the highlight reel. It rewards I'm fine and living my best life and never showing weakness. Real connection requires the opposite. It requires saying I'm not fine. It requires showing weakness. It requires being the person at the party having a real conversation while everyone else is making small talk. You'll feel out of place at first, like you're doing it wrong, like everyone else knows some secret to being happy that you missed. But that's just because you're seeing things clearly now. Everyone else is also lonely. They're just better at hiding it, or they're too scared to admit it, or they don't know there's another way. You're not broken for wanting depth. You're awake.
Seneca's last words before he died were, "I go to meet the gods as an equal, not as a servant." He meant, I know who I am. I accept who I am. I'm enough as I am. That's the goal. Not to never feel lonely, but to know deep in your bones that you're enough. That the real you, the messy, complicated, imperfect you, is worth knowing. And once you believe that, once you really believe it, you'll stop hiding. You'll stop performing. You'll start showing up as you. And the people who are meant to find you will find you, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. So here's your homework. Not suggestions, homework. This week, do 3 things. 1, spend 30 minutes alone. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just sit with yourself. Feel whatever comes up. Don't run from it. 2, tell one person something real. Something you've been hiding, something you're scared to say. See what happens. 3, ask someone, how are you really? And when they say fine, ask again. Mean it. Give them space to be honest. That's it. 3 small things. They'll feel big. They'll feel scary. Do them anyway. Because the life you want, the one with real connection and deep friendships and people who actually know you, is on the other side of that fear. And you deserve that life. Not the performed version, not the Instagram version, the real version. You are enough as you are. Not the filtered you, not the successful you, not the perfect you. The real, messy, complicated you. Someone out there is looking for exactly that. Several people, actually. They're lonely too. They're performing too. They're waiting for someone to be brave enough to go first. Be that person. Stop hiding. The world needs the real you, not the mask. You. Marcus Aurelius, in his final years, wrote something that still haunts me. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He wasn't being morbid. He was being real. Life is short, too short to spend it performing for people who don't actually know you, too short to die surrounded by acquaintances instead of friends. One day, you will die. Maybe in 60 years, maybe tomorrow. None of us know. And when that day comes, what will matter? How many followers you had? How many parties you went to? How well you maintained the illusion? Or will what matter be, did anyone really know me? Did I let anyone in? Did I create real connection? Did I love and was I loved for who I actually was? You know the answer. So stop waiting. Stop hiding. Stop hoping loneliness will just go away on its own. It won't, but you can fix it. Not by becoming a different person, by becoming more yourself, by being brave enough to be seen. The loneliness you feel right now, it's not forever. It's not permanent. It's not who you are. It's just where you are. And you can move. Start today.